cause. So this is the most common topic of NEET PG and AIIMS PG and all other PGs exam. So you have to written and make it chart. So first of all, it is start with most common cause of failure of dialysis graft. It is fibrointimal hyperplasia. That means venous outflow stenosis. Next one is most common cause of respiratory distress in newborn. It is transient tachypnea of newborn. Next one is most common cause for the late failure in the lung transplant patient. It is bronchiolitis obliterans. Next one, most common cause of for pulmonary edema is left-sided heart disease. Next one is most common cause, non-etiogenic cause of a small bowel obstruction is hernia, and most common cause of large choroid plexus cyst is a trisomy 18. Most common cause of a large pleural fluid collection in the newborn, it is chylothorax or chylothorax. Most common cause of acute renal failure in the children requiring dialysis is HUS. Most common cause of acute testicular pain in post-pubertal male, it is acute epididymis, and most common cause of acute testicular pain in the prepubertal male, it is the torsion of the testes. So main here is pain in post-pubertal acute epididymis, and prepubertal male it is torsion of the testes. Most common cause of its cholangiopathy is cryptosporidium. Then most common cause of an echogenic renal mass in a 3-month-old is the mesoplastic nephroma. So next is most common cause of an intraorbital mass lesion in the adult is the pseudo tumor of the orbit. Most common cause of AS in the Western world is degenerative disease. Most common cause of bilateral breast edema is CHF. Bilateral breast edema. You can write in the BBC. CHF. Most common cause of bilateral echogenic renal cortex is chronic granulonephritis, and most common cause of the biliary obstruction is choledocholithiasis. Most common cause of bleeding between the menstrual cycle is endometrial hyperplasia, while the most common cause of the bronchopneumonia is the most common cause. So bronchopneumonia is staphylococcus, and most common cause of cancer death in the male and female is the bronchogenic carcinoma, and most common cause of infectious esophagitis is the candida esophagitis, and most common cause of cavity necrotic pneumonia in child is streptococcal pneumonia. Here most common cause of Charcot joint is diabetes mellitus. Charcot joint. So most common cause of the CHF in the child is the aberrant left coronary artery, and most common cause of CHF in the neonate is the hypoplastic left heart. Next one, most common cause of chronic hydronephrosis in the renal transplant is a UV anastomosis structure. So here structure is common cause of chronic hydronephrosis in the renal transplant. Most common cause of the colonic obstruction in adult is malignancy. Most common cause of colonic obstruction in the infant is the meconium plug syndrome in the CF patient. Here, most common cause of colonic obstruction in the infant is the meconium plug syndrome in CF patient. Most common cause of colovesical fistula is the diverticulitis. Most common cause of congenital sinus infection is the CMP, and the most common cause of congenital duodenal obstruction is duodenal atresia, and most common cause of congenital sensory neural hearing loss is the giant vestibular aqueduct syndrome. Most common cause of the cord ischemia is the thromboembolic disease, and the most common cause of coronary artery aneurysm in the USA is the atherosclerosis, and the most common cause of the coronary artery aneurysm worldwide is the Kawasaki disease. Next one is most common cause of the cyanosis in a child. If the cyanosis in a child is the tetralogy of Fallot, and most common cause of the cyanosis in the newborn is the transposition of great vessels, and most common cause of the death in a severe pelvic fracture, it is hemorrhage. Death in the severe pelvic fracture is the hemorrhage. So most common cause of the death in the ataxia telangiectasia is the respiratory failure. The most common cause of death in the June syndrome. June syndrome is the respiratory failure. So June here is the respiratory failure. The most common cause of the drop meat is the medulloblastoma, and the most common cause of the dwarfism is the achondroplasia. So thanks for watching my video. Have a nice day.